okay.
I am so sorry. I wanted you to give you this the agent selection to get your impressions. You're not ready for the 2018, but is it going to be a 2018? No?
I hope not, honestly. But what I'm excited for in this map is we didn't see Lean on Raze on like today at least, and we've seen her how aggressive she can get on the Neon. So I'm questioning like if we'll be able to see her go as aggressive on this agent, because we've seen earlier that Berry struggled a bit going from the Neon to Raze. So that's where I will be focusing right now, is on the two duelists and how much they'll be able to like get space and how much they will be able to punish the enemy.
It's wild to me seeing there actually the stats from group stage 2, because you wouldn't expect their win rate, Carmine Corp, to be 33%. The fact that they've only won 1 out of 3 of their games. So, you know, that obviously could work in TWIS's advantage. But I honestly do think, and I know we all probably maybe want to go to bed a little early tonight, but I think this is going to be a long one.
Oh, well, I'm so sorry to our briefcase casters then, because Tom and Mac are standing by to cast this decider.
Couple of grandmas there. You want to go to bed early? I'm here for the Valorant. Let's keep it going. Triple OT, quadruple OT.
Say,
beautiful.
I thought Meg would have learned from her mistakes of trying to go to bed early yesterday when Fnatic started making a comeback. So 2 days in a row, Meg. That's disappointing.
Let's not talk about that. Let's all forget about that. Everyone over here wants to forget about that one. That was a tough watch. But look, we are here to split the difference between both these teams. So far, KC coming back real hard there on Lotus, but let's see what we got from them on Split. Composition looking old, I'd say. I wouldn't say this is meta at all. Tom, what's your thoughts on it?
It's a weird one because, yeah, Sky has really not been a popular pick anywhere. I think a few teams. I distinctly remember like Foot running a composition that had this Sky within it as well, and it didn't go fantastically well, but I still think it's a good agent for just getting a lot of that early information and having those timed flashes alongside those aggressive Raze picks. But yeah, most teams are running that sort of either a double duelist composition or maybe throwing something like a Viper into the mix. So
yeah,
I want to see what they have planned with this, but I'll be honest, for me the most important thing is going to be the Omens, which is not something you say very often, but they both had lights out performances in map 1 and 2, so why wouldn't I be looking at Suzette and GX?
Okay. Got Vents control already coming through here. Alkia placed to try and deny rotation. We also got the Trailblazer dealt with nice and early. And Twisted Minds heavy with a 3-2 split. The middle of the map is so open, it's crazy, and it was just the camera that was spotting it. Then comes the other Trailblazer, and now they know a few of the positions of the KC members. Lexa from the back of sight needs to try to dance around and hope that this dark cover is going to be able to split things up. They go around the pillar on the back of sight, and there's no way that Lexa can hold on here. One is all she'll get, and Sapphire as well, going to deny the retake from Heaven just yet. But with 40 seconds, that spike hasn't been planted, and Lean's got a nice little lineup to deny that plant and delay it even further. 3v2, and Heaven control is there right now. Lean doesn't want to go forward, but HCM still with 2 flashpoints to play with, could potentially set up a retake here. Lean just dancing around. Ooh. Wants to full rack. The trade is there, but can't find the second player. Fault line dodged. And an opportunity gained, but won't be able to get it done. It's HTM to keep on fragging. And with one more flash, there is a chance that she could slide it here on the right position. Planted for main, but she knows that Anasilia was close, and Anasilia holds strong. 4 for the round on the pistol, and KC on the attack starts strong for the third one.
Yeah, the Red Bull clutch coming out from Anasilia. Maybe one that you wouldn't have expected to be needed with how this round kicked off, a double opener and then Sapphire's backstab doing a lot, but Lean definitely gave it a damn good try. Unfortunately, wasn't quite enough in the end, and the Breach will finish the job that she started. And it's going to be KC off the bat on the pistol. And we've already seen it in map number 1. They were doing very well at getting these sort of early rounds on the board. Good at getting the conversions, but maybe not so much in those bonus rounds. It seems, though, that Lean, after some impressive shots in the first, wanted to try and carry that on. Hasn't been the case.
Well, the faster one. Aftershock slows things down, and the crossfire, or the fast flank even, is going to be able to activate, but the front side needs to hold for Lexa to try and find some success. And just with the classic this range, oh, it's hopeless. She can't hit those. You can't shoot too accurately at a range like that. And now it's Suzette in a 1v5 with the Sheriff. I wouldn't say it's old reliable. That Trailblazer, or Guiding Light rather, going to be enough to give her position away. And gets past the first hurdle, but there's many more falling on it. And that's going to be 2 in a row. KC, keep it clean, and we'll have a very strong bonus. But again, what, for the 3rd time tonight? It's like the same thing happening at the start of all these maps, Tom.
Yeah, there has been the slow starts that have definitely been problematic for the side of Twisted Mind. They managed an incredible comeback on map number 1, but it feels like Split really does end as that sort of middle ground. So those early starts, that extra boost in economy, in the ultimates, and of course, just having those extra weapons could be a problem. I like this from KC. They look like they're setting up into a much more direct hit. You've got weaker weaponry. The trades are going to be so important. And with a solo sight hold from Lexa, this could be a problem.
Birds are getting sent both ways. And there's info for both regards, but the control is there. KC going to be able to enter sight with that. But the trapwire gives huge information, and Lexa can double down through the screen there. Lovely trade from Glance, but the numbers already thin so much on KC's side of things. Poker risks it, and unfortunately it doesn't work out. Anasilia given an opportunity, and the spike is not planted, but there is time, and there's already 3 rounds in for Rolling Thunder for Anasilia. Let's see if she can thread the needle. Twisted Minds with the buddy system, but they split up for just a moment. And Anasilia can't split the wickets this time. Fault line back online. And again, only the clock forcing her to play forward.
Unlucky that all the weapons are currently within the site. Like retrieving any of them is nigh on impossible. It will either have to be the SMG or the pistol. I'd go with the pistol. She's already got 7 pistol kills so far in this game, but looks for the isolated fight. More Suzette with the rifle is going to put her down. Still a decent amount of damage for KC, but with walking into that solo cypher, they might have hoped for a little bit more. But again, like, credit where it's due. Lexa, when she's within her own setup, has been impeccable throughout this series.
Oh yeah, knows exactly how to play off of her own utility. Set Twisted Minds up for their success on the first gun round. Bit of damage on the bonus from KC though. So Twisted Minds, they aren't in a super safe position yet, and you can see that with a couple of half armors coming through just to try to play the numbers down. And this time KC looking to test out mid control again.
The interesting thing when looking at the Masters tournament currently going on with the teams that play Split is I think every single team is currently running a Viper on this map. Neither side has opted to go for one here. Of course, it just gives you so much extra control. And even the teams, there's a couple of teams running the Sky, they will run one to have that sort of combo of being able to flash through those screens, flash through the util, also just delay that control. So I still want to keep an eye on how both these squads are actually utilizing that agent in particular. An aggressive push up from the defense, but it's a whiff. And GX able to get a 1-for-1 on what should have been a freebie. Toka in position. Oh, it's another! KC are getting away with murder.
Oh my lord, the nerves are winning this round for KC. It's crazy that those 2 unfortunate whiffs happened back to back. But you can see that Twisted Minds, they are currently feeling the pressure. Safia with the freest kill of her life. And it's Suzette in a 1v4. This time, with a better weapon to try and make the clutch happen. Takes out the Shrouded Step. To get any information. Lovely setup from Hell, from Pillar, and from backside. But Suzette realizing it's pretty much unwinnable and will opt just to carry the Phantom into the next. And that's what we were talking about. The economy not in a good way will force the save out. And KC with 3 alive here will start to pump up the financials of their own. 3-1 already on the attack side.
Off to a great start, and sure, this definitely isn't at one of those maps like it was in the past where you'd only really expect to see rounds on the defense. A lot of teams have really mastered the attack side with the sort of addition of that secondary flash alongside the aggression of Raze. I think we will see a decent amount of rounds on this side of the map. That one's just got to feel almost heartbreaking, though. Like, 2 opportunities where the defensive side player has the drop on somebody on the attack, like not looking or not ready for the certain fight, and both losing because of it. It's incredibly costly for the side of Twisted Mind. You mentioned it. Economy-wise, they're in the bin. It's only going to be an additional purchase of an SMG and some pistols to play with alongside that safe gun.
Plain completely for the to get the rockets online. Yeah, that is all they were played for. And the threat now of the showstopper is going to send KC packing, or at least most of them. Off the back of that glance, just dry contacting back into main. Dark cover invested as well. And with that control, they'll realize, okay, we probably don't want to go to B. But Twisted Mind still playing heavy to this position. Okay, HTM in tower. Spot some extra info. And KC again, just happy to thread the seeds of doubt.
This is where you kind of have to ask a little bit too much of Lexa and her setups. The solo defender trip already taken offline. It's an angle that is an off angle, but it's one that should be checked. Still manages one. And the spray's not pretty. Somehow they're making this one costly, but
30 seconds
whether or not anything more can be found, showstopper thrown in. Toka has managed to get 2 with a classic, but running out of bullets. It is a 2v2, but seemingly a fairly unfair one. And now Suzette, last player standing, will even be caught by, I believe, the Rolling Thunder. Definitely a good round in isolation, but when you consider that a showstopper was thrown in, maybe they would have hoped for a little more.
Yeah, the investment, I thought it might have turned the round around, but it was just a dry shot with it. Like a blind shot even. And no connection. Lexa almost able to get the reload off and keep fighting here is crazy. It's at this moment here where you see the showstopper coming out of heaven. I think she just shot that through a dark cover as well. She had no vision and just hoped that reading the map was going to be enough. But unfortunately, for Twisted Minds, it just wasn't. KC off to the races in multiple regards. Straight up middle again. Just investing the dark cover at male and once again, throwing Alkia straight into vents.
Hawk out.
Base.
Blinded. Scout destroyed.
And Twisted Mind is solid though. It's how far they go. GX is just waiting and it's a little bit disjointed. At least Suzette will be able to get the trade, so it's only the 1-for-1, but you can see the immediate response from KC is, okay, we've lost B side. We need to now put the pressure onto the A side of the map. The problem is they're then walking into the Lion's Den.
Okay. And they get through here. It's the same setup as before, but this time just as successful. 2 for Lexa, but job's not done. And Asilia tapping, hoping that she can find some info. And where that Trailblazers come from, spots, I think it was Suzette over towards Heaven. And it's going to be the 3-player rotation all into screens. Just hanging Toka out to dry. The high-low face is beautiful. Suzette takes the head off of Anasilia, and that's going to be 4 now, or 2 now for Twisted Minds.
Yeah, I really like how confident they are in the defensive side setup. Just with what they're able to do with that A site hold from Lexa, and then the rest of the team can sort of, they can get aggressive on B, they can challenge from it, they can hold on to that Heaven control because she just doesn't go down. And if she does, she's normally taken 2 players with her at the same time. So stellar work from her over on that A site. And it gets to a point where you almost wonder if KC would just opt to really pressure down on B, because if you're not breaking through that Cypher setup, just go away from it.
Yeah. Well, this default from KC has been relatively effective. Just deny any chance for Twisted Minds to play aggressive at Heaven. But they're also very happy to keep on playing 3-2, allow the trips to try and get some information. But this time it's just going to be the visuals. Over towards Heaven side, fault line is dropped by HTM to try and send them packing. And this time it might just be the A split. I can never tell where KC are going because you've still got GX as well lurking over towards B main, so they can pivot at any moment.
There.
Awful lot of space. The flashing being thrown out over on A just to try and sell them a bit of a ruse. Timing here is going to be absolutely everything because the set could just catch them out, but Sapphire is well aware. There is one weaker weapon for the side of the attack, but getting a plant into position, having a player advantage at the same time, it's about as good as it gets.
Such good positions. GX as well.
Thought she was going to stick it for a sec.
Yeah, she did before. They're like, oh, she's going to do it again. Either way, Lean going to be able to kick off this retake. Seekers invested, but dealt with so quickly. And Twisted Minds just trying to hunt for all of these positions. Hell is something they have to worry about, Sapphire. The tracking's okay. We'll get one, but the trade game's better. And just like that, the numbers favoring Twisted Minds until Anasilia does it with a classic. Just throwing attention towards herself and making things so awkward. No way she doesn't do him dirty like that. The classic gets another 3 there in the post plant. Ridiculous out of Anasilia.
That's so stupid. I can't believe that has worked out. So that was a 3v2 retake where one of the players only has a classic and the classic gets all 3 kills. Like, that's genuinely madness. Wins the 1v1 versus Lean. Okay, that one I can forgive, but it should be the player with the classic baiting for the player with the rifle, but instead it ends up the other way around.
I feel like the theory is, look, the spike is planted for the main player, so Anasilia run around like crazy, right? And we're going to see KC go a bit more offensive this time. Straight out to B, things returning to normalcy. Trailblazer gets the info, and it's 2 quick picks. So the contention over for the garage control doesn't go well for Twisted Minds. And again, they don't have a whole lot to make a retake happen, but Lex has got a classic, and we've seen what that can do.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what could be done with the classic at this stage, but...
Free gun, by the way.
Yeah, realistically...
My ult's ready.
Oh, she's got another Rolling Thunder. 13-4, by the way, on the breach. We're round number 8, and she's actually setting up to use it. It is an eco. I don't think this ult really needs to be committed, but if they want to just make sure this round is confirmed, 6 on the attack would be nice. I think already doing so much damage to the players on side. Lexa is going to be the one to get a kill, but there's no more. There's no more to be had. And the Rolling Thunder's even kept through for the next round.
A smart decision to hold on to the ult. Even just the threat of it creates so much space on the map a lot of the time. And Twisted Minds, look, kudos for attempting to take that control. Try and play aggressive with a low buy, but didn't work that time. And on to the next we go. Let's have a quick look at the ult economy, all things considered. HTM, if they play for an orb, can have a Rolling Thunder of their own for retake if necessary. And then KC, yeah, they got something to work with. Seekers as well can give them huge information. Rolling Thunder showstopper. That's a combo if I've ever seen one hit, Tom.
Yeah, I'll be honest though. I think it's all irrelevant when your breach is 15-4.
That's true. That's true.
Like, it's a weird thing to talk about, but like, she genuinely is just almost clowning on them at this stage. Like, Lexa's A site hold, fantastic. They have 2 rounds. A lot of it was down to her. Yeah. But when they go B, it just seems like Anasilia has been practicing that site for the entirety of her life, because even with a classic, she's able to just destroy her opposition. The rest of the team are in the door of the Explorer backpack. And yeah, they're 6-2 up on this attack side. It really does feel like since the last map began, KC have been firmly in the driver's seat.
And look, GX is fully tagged out and said, put me in that backpack. I've done my work already tonight. It's your turn.
There's only so many crazy Omen players that you can put in the montage. She's got to chill.
That is true. Well, in comes the showstopper, and let's get B-site is weakened. Okay, connection at heaven off the backboard as well. And the paint shell's going to create some extra space. Awkward for Lean. Just couldn't thread it over towards the safety of defender spawn. And there's just damage done everywhere. Token, though, holding on to this one. And the Rolling Thunder going to be invested with the Guiding Light, denying vision. Anasilia going for the wraparound, and again, just keeps on trying to frag. Toka somehow saves the day with a quadra. That That is insanity.
I thought she was screwed. Like, she turns back to the player in heaven as if she knew she was there the entire time. That is a crazy reaction shot from her. Because everything else looked like it was going Casey's way. Look, like the start, the showstopper, Rolling Thunder, yeah, you mentioned it was put into play. I've never seen anybody fly that high. I think that Lexa maybe hit the skybox. But yeah, then the flip back around, and I don't know how that's the round they win, but it keeps the nice pattern we have going on our scoreboard.
Yeah. Absolutely crazy. And you saw as well that third kill that she got was while she was still stunned from the Rolling Thunder too. So it makes it that much more impressive that she survived that. But we'll see if they can get 6. It is pretty much a golden number that they need to achieve if they want to hope in that second half. Mid control will be contested by Twisted Minds initially, but with Lean going down to 30 points of health already, she'll back away, she'll reposition, put her attention back towards the ramp area, and she might be right in doing so, but the spike, we know KC have that over towards B. So this will just be, ooh, fake, maybe contact, but the shot at close range works out for the first. Oh, and gets a little bit more value out of that one. Showstopper online, Paint Shell's still there to utilize. But it's all locked down, and Suzette gets the info that they're looking for. One of the 2 remaining KC members is making their way to B, but won't go all the way out of Garage yet. And there's now space for Glance to try and make a play.
30 seconds
Been
left.
spotted, cage popped, and now becomes an impossible task. And again, you look at the economy that's there for KC with how close a lot of these rounds have been. I think it has to now be the decision just to hold on to the weaponry. I guess the point from Anasilia is I'm 18-5. Maybe let's see what I could do.
10
but
seconds left.
not going to be the case this time around. And it's been a talking point throughout the entirety of this matchup. Going for a peek with 3 seconds left seems a little bit overconfident, but hey, you know what? Glance has managed to take one down at least.
As a unit, okay?
But you're right, to carry those Vandals to the next round. That's what I say. Lovely dodge of the Guiding Light there. Lean with the reaction time on points and then the shots as well.
But yeah, what I was going to say is that it seems like one of the major turning points in every single one of the defensive halves has been that operator coming online, especially on Haven. Even on the attack, Lean picking up the operator made a huge difference. So they've managed to break the trend of 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. So we'll see if now they can actually build that back to 6 and in the end have a pretty decent half.
Okay, dark cover. Over towards vents this time. Feels if KC altered their route back towards the tower. What exactly they're looking for. Guiding Light's going both ways. Every single one used, I'm pretty sure. Oh, Glance still has one. Okay, so the flash battle will rage on throughout the round. And KC set their sights on B. 3 players pretty much already here, and a 4th, which is Lean, can pivot for Twisted Minds at a moment's notice, but confidence just to walk out mid like that and make her way to the correct position. In comes the Rolling Thunder to deny the push for the moment. Dark cover there, and with 40 seconds, KC, what do you do here? Spike's already decided, hey, we're going A, but that's into Lexa again, Tom.
She's been very good. Already now has the
30
information.
seconds left.
I always like watching her setups just because they make it so awkward for these players to fight around. The ruse was sold on B, but that's okay for the side of Twisted. They know they've got their tank on the other side, just managing to find a quick double. The spike needs to be retrieved, but it will be planted, put into position. But bear in mind that Lee now has that showstopper, just looks to get the easiest pick of her life, flying across the sky. GX has at least done well.
Okay,
It's a
safe
gun
plan.
to be picked up, but they need to get back into position to actually deny this one, and they will not be able to. It's another round on the board for Twisted, and it's another round where Lexa is the hero once again.
I was looking at an angle. I was thinking, Casey, how do you win that from heaven when it's not planted for you? But the answer is they don't. You know, the cover was too good. There was no way of them teleporting to site too quickly. And yeah, the showstopper, I felt like locked that one in. As soon as you take the player off site, It's beautifully done. But yeah, this spray down from Lexa, extra damage as well. Everything she could have done, she did. And it was enough to give Twisted Minds a chance to get back into the conversation. 5 now, and also an opportunity to even things up at the half.
I think it is a rare thing to see a Sentinel player that if they push your site, you're guaranteed to. Like, guaranteed. No matter what they do, it seems like Lexa will always find 2 picks on that side of the map, and that's why you see these confident pushes. It's happening again. Like, 3 players currently fighting for mid. You got the rotational operator as well, and then just, yeah, Lexa will do the rest. Lexa will delay. Lexa will hold. In this case, oh, the timing almost ends up being problematic, but luckily has Lexa for support. Through they go, but again, she's just in prime position, gets caught with the hat off the head. For the amount of assists already coming through, it's only 1 standing, and it will be a cleanup in the end. They even it.
Mate, blink and you'll miss that one. Absolute chaos continuing to go out all throughout the series. And we are tied up at the half. Crazy reposition, and Lexa gonna get a huge spray down. Everyone joining the fray so quickly. And I'm expecting more chaos after the halftime break. You guys ready for more chaos? Good. Well, we're going to get it here in the second half. Twisted Minds, we know that they are better usually on the attacking side. So let's see if they can live up to all those expectations that we've set for them. Because if they don't, they're gone. They're out of here. 6th place.
Well, yeah, that's the crazy thing is we are talking about the contenders winner. So obviously the people who rise up through the ranks to look to fight in Game Changers EMEA, facing off against the champions, the current champions of EMEA. And the loser of this next half is out. KC could be dropping after picking up the crown, and Twisted Minds, this might be the upset of the century. We'll have to see if they can pull it off.
Well, it all starts here on the pistol. KC have been solid on them yet again. Alkia and Sapphire locking down the site. Crossfire from the heavens and from the hells. And this is looking good unless Lexa can have something to say about it. Guiding Light revealing that she's out on site somewhere. Isolated fight, but it's no good for Lexa this time. And KC again put another pistol on the tally.
They have been... Well, they've won the majority of pistols. I think the only one they didn't, they immediately won the second round over on Lotus. So it has been the gun rounds that have been the better for Twisted Mind. There's no doubt about that. But it's definitely a hard series to come back from when you're not getting any of those early rounds under your belt. It also doesn't help that Anasilia is 20-8. It's crazy when you think that they are 1 round in the lead and their breach is currently having probably one of the craziest performances she's ever had. And GX has been quiet so far, but that doesn't mean it will stay that way. And it doesn't mean that she's not going to play with confidence.
That's true. That is so true. And they're just going to lock this one down. See if either of the Twisted Minds members want to gamble across to try and pick up the Sheriff there. Tap on the spike, but the Guiding Light will give the info that they're looking for, that there are still dangerous individuals just around the corner. First spotted, second checked, although the classic. A bit of damage. Okay, Suset Jumping around with a classic, not going to work this time. And KC keep it clean at the start of the second.
If it wasn't for the heal, she would have got a second. That's where the true value is coming in from the sky, is those heals. That's why we play them now. Yeah, a decent round coming through from KC. Another start that they'll be happy about. But this is where things get interesting. As said, like, okay, maybe not so much when it came to Lotus, but at least on map 1, for the majority of this map, the buy rounds is where we've really seen this Twisted Mind squad thrive. The problem is I'm looking at the purchase and just seeing not only, well, 1 shotgun, but 2 purchased in, a Judge and a Bucky. I do get a little bit nervous because it means there's going to be some spicy plays. And just look at where GX is already, by the way. Just look at he's just pushed up in B main with a smoke.
Smoke and push. Smoke and push. Been working for him, so why change the idea? KC, think about doing a little bit more of that. Smoke and push and flash and push and... Ooh, okay, maybe not this time. HTM standing with the gun ready to deliver. And we'll crack open the first round and try to fend off the bonus, but if they walk back here into the garage, look who's waiting at B main. It's GX who's in front of the flash, and with a Bucky of all things, that is danger looming. Another flash invested. And she dark covers. Okay, maybe not feeling herself so much. We'll get back to the safety of the site. And, ooh, jump in, Safia. Lucky she checked that one. We'll get the info that they're looking for, and Twisted Minds have the site.
This is the problem. It is like you kind of needed Safia to delay a little bit more than she has, because this is where the weaponry will fall a little bit flat. Two Bulldogs, 2 shotguns, and not the greatest space-taking agent/standing. Maybe they can chuck it over to Alkia and see if she can get in with the Judge, but from here on out, it should be Twisted Minds round.
Lex up, connecting, and making the retake look easier. But is it real? Let's see. Bucky and Judge coming in from a main. Use the dark cover to try and force them into close quarters combat. But they don't want to play that game. Spam away and deal with it. Only 1 casualty suffered, so Twisted Minds, they are certainly still here in the conversation.
I'd like the sort of response to that round. They get the opener, they then walk into a Bucky, which, yeah, a lot of the time you're going to think about running and trying to trade that, but I think they made the realization, okay, if there's players fighting in mid, there's a player deep in B main, there has to be a gap, and that gap was on A. So good decision-making, good calling from Twisted Mind, and already bring the difference between 1. I said, you lose both pistols and you're 1 round behind, that's not a bad place to be.
True statement. Twisted Minds just trying to feel out KC's first gun round. Trailblazer with the info. What's one at Heaven? But are they going to expect this positioning from Anasilia, who has been fatal for them from the short side, but this time dealt with early? So top frag down, and danger still imminent towards Heaven, but more so for KC. Toka and HTM won't be able to get everyone there. As you can see, GX has repositioned to try and go for a refrag, but that one ain't happening. It's the rotation back from Twisted Minds through the market and back to B.
Yeah, and they're just playing controlled. The second they have the advantage, looking to group back up, play it as a squad. I think this is just where you're seeing a lot of those solid fundamentals, which when teams, like obviously they were relegated to contenders and then came back up from contenders, but a lot of the time the contender squads facing off against the top teams, you might see those gaps. GX, Safia have somehow made this competitive though. Their crossfire's sublime, and well, I was just talking about those fundamentals. If you've got the heroes, I guess sometimes it doesn't matter.
Yeah, spacing usually good for the trade game. I guess they were expecting, you know, one of the other members of KC to be in a different position. But yeah, Twisted Minds unfortunately just walk into what was a bit of a bait and switch high and low setup, and things get really awkward real quick. GX just smack them down through the corner. Paranoia to buy some space, and then wins that one against the opposing Omen Suset. KC assert a bit more dominance, but again, look at the finances. The money is certainly in question.
Yeah, both sides. This is a backbreaker round. This is either Twisted Minds right back in the map or KC just a couple away from taking it. And they're looking to get aggressive. Even with some of the shakier rounds they've had, they are not shying away from a fight. In fact, it was a 4-player mid-push, but again, that means that there's a gap. It's the same response that we've seen already. Immediately looking to put pressure in onto Safia, and she has to do exactly what her opposing Cypher did in the first half.
It's a Cage in a great position once she takes this contact, but spotted on site, and the trap is going to be triggered by Lexa. She goes down, and the 2 players on site fight for some control. How the hell is Safia alive here? Elbow, such a silly position, but they're going to be able to control it with 3 different members. Flash good, and the boot block better, but it looks like Twisted Minds rather are making this one work. Alkia last alive in the 1v3. All 3 members from Twisted Minds fight for the site control finally. And they're going to be playing around elbow themselves. No paint shells here, just 2 satchels. And Alkia realizing, okay, this one's a little dangerous, and we spoke about the economy at the start of the round, so she's keeping that gun alive for the next.
Yeah, I think as well, just the fact that you probably heard the heals. So it's like, okay, maybe there's a player low, and then you realize, okay, there definitely isn't. Like, there's no chance of me actually being able to catch a low player, get a chance at this fight. So I like it. Again, it's the same sort of reaction. I think the mid-round calling from Twisted Minds has been not impeccable. Even the round before, even the one they lost. I think that the call they made to group back up and go together was the right call. They just lost some silly fights that they'll probably watch back and reanalyze. This round, they did the same thing. Okay, we know 3 players have pushed mid. We've heard the utility. We've seen them. So let's immediately react. Where are they going to have gambled? They've probably left 1 player over on A, like we were doing.
Yeah.
And we're going to pressure that player. And I also want to say, Safia did an incredible job. Like, bought a lot of time. Considering all the players were in mid, you look at that fight around Elbow, there were 3 players there when the fight actually took place. They just kind of got clustered in. They needed to immediately find those picks because they were all in one corner. And well, it ended up going the way of Twisted Minds this time. Here's the rifle.
And it's just going straight
there
forward.
It goes.
We were talking about it, Casey. They love to just push on the defense. It was working for them so well on Lotus. And it's managed to allow them to get the opening, but it has been traded. And usually, the even advantage after you've lost a few members should help out Twisted Minds. And yeah, they're going to get that gun back. Okay.
That was the main worry. If it's a 1-for-1, and you lose the 1 rifle you had, like, I guess other than the Guardian.
Yeah.
It's not really worth it. But in this case, it is. Again, fantastic setup from Safia. The Cypher's ruling supreme on this split A site. So impressed with how both have been playing, but I'm sure for Twisted Mind, they would really wish that Safia stopped doing this.
Yeah. But look, it's effective.
Can you not? Can you not?
Can you just miss a couple of shots for us? Come on, please. Probably saying the same here to Set.
30 seconds left.
In the 2v3, they are going to run away from Safia, which I think is an effective strategy. However, look at who's beaten him to the punch. It's Glance with a classic, but the Rolling Thunder is dodged. And she might still be able to cut the cross from sight. Dark cover in the way, but it's going to be planted behind a spammable box. Unfortunately, it's just a classic to try and stop. But with all attention towards Heaven, I thought there was an opportunity for that push from Glance to work out. But Spike got planted in time, and once that info was gained by KC, it was too little, too late. And we are all tied up again.
Hey, again, it's the mid-round, so it's just that snap decision to go back. I think Hated as well, using her Rolling Thunder, even though it doesn't catch, it just stopped anybody getting to the site. That was their main worry, was somebody being able to deny the plant, and then she just immediately switches her gaze towards where the aggressive players are running from. Just good adaptations on the fly. And I think that has been the difference. That's the reason the scoreline is currently level, is we are seeing those fantastic mid-round calls coming out from this attack side. And if not, I think they would have easily lost that round if they continued to pressure. You mentioned it, like, if you keep going into that Cypher setup, you're probably going to get owned. So they just didn't.
Just don't, you know, just go the other way.
Yeah, just win.
So I dare say, if us two expert analysts correct, we will see B-site hits continuously from now on because Safia is just unfortunately too much for Twisted Minds to deal with at the current moment. Have a quick look at the economy, look at the ults. What do we got? Rolling Thunder online for KC, so arguably we might see something aggressive again if they want to, you know, flirt with that idea. And Twisted Minds, they've got the Neural Theft online, and if they play for the showstopper, they should have that on too.
Time to hunt.
Any round will be the
Destroy.
The hunt. And well, you mentioned, like, okay, they're probably just going to put the pressure on the B side now. That's where KC are one step ahead.
Yeah.
They have switched the Cypher setup to B, and it makes a lot of sense. You have been having those sort of strong A site holds, and then the rest of the map falls apart. Your opponent's inevitably going to try and adapt to maybe play further into the B site where you've had success. Move Safia over there. Give them the same problems and see if you can hold on to that site solo and maybe have more success with aggression elsewhere. It, again, puts a lot of pressure on her shoulders, but
yeah,
she seems to thrive within it.
I think, as well, for this specific trapwire setup, I'm liking it because there's none near the B main choke. So no one's actually going to know that she's here, and if they don't wrap around the back of Pillar, there's a lot of danger right in front of them, and that camera as well, in a high, close position, I don't think has been seen. So we'll see if Safia is going to be able to do much, or if she even has to. Alkia defending from the heavens and makes it look good, but they've heard the camera this time and think, okay, 30 seconds, we kind of got to go here, and Suset going to be stuck in between two different trapwires. Safia fighting forward, going to be able to find herself a second, and it's a huge hold, and with 20 on the clock, 1v4, HTM is forced to save.
Yeah, no choice, especially with the credit situation. Neither side really able to get on top of this game at the moment, and because of that, it's leaving both of them on the brink. That's why you're not really seeing any of the defensive side players looking to hunt this player down. They do not want to risk their own economy at the cost of a singular gun, especially when they don't really know where she is. So, but again, it's that adaptation and the solid hold. Firstly from out here, but then you watch the difference when they try and go walking into the setup. It's just so well played from Safia all the way through. And there was a moment where she hears the orb being tapped, and I was like, is she going to spam this? Doesn't even do it for a second. She knows that it's like, okay, me being hidden here and me holding onto this site holds so much more value than a single kill on a person getting an orb.
100%. Well, let's see if anything changes. That goes there. AC. Still with an outlaw online for Safia. So just playing the financial game, maybe not expecting Twisted Minds to go so aggressive with this bite. GX again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. One dark cover gets them full B main control. Twisted Minds again going to be looking towards Mail, towards the vents instead. You get a decent amount of information out of the utility that has been invested from just KC at mid. Suset happy. After taking a tag, we'll just fall back to the rest of the troops. Okay, Paranoia ready to pump into heaven too. So expect a B approach, but this time not just from main. Oh my lord, it's a freebie. EX has somehow not been seen by the Trailblazer, and she should win this fight. Oh no, not again. I apologize, I cursed that one. But the heaven controls look good for Anasilia, and she's still got the fault line, still with the rolling thunder, but she might not even be needed. From the rafters, shooting up a storm. It's 4 for her, and she continues to rack up numbers in the kill feed.
Yeah, I felt for a moment that maybe she'd gone a little bit quiet in this second half after I think it was like, what, a 20 kill first half, but hey, right when they need her the most is when Anasilia steps back up to the plate. I also wanted to point out as well that clearly a very good read on the economy of their opponent, because they invested into that outlaw just because they knew their opponents would only be able to afford light shield. So Casey with a great scenario, but all in all didn't matter because Anasilia just fried.
Ooh, okay. Safia maybe in a position to defend this A site again, playing much deeper from screens. Cam on heaven. Tower rather, and we'll see if that's going to give them the info that they need. But with the awkward cover, GX is able to play in front of it, but at this range the Sheriff can be deadly. GX will be found through the wall.
We need a rolling thunder counter for Anasilia.
There's a lot.
She's got it back online again.
I know.
Not really that surprising at this stage. What? Oh, Lena's got that would tilt me off the face of the earth if a couple of bullets were just tapped through and took my head off. She's also seen the gun being stolen as well. And well, I think that's 3 players spotted. A troublesome position. No, maybe not. Never mind. No, Glance is fine. Just stunned up and had a aftershock pushing her out into the corner. But no, she was fine. She was cool. No problem.
Everything's okay. Everything's fine. You know, flames
Chilling,
just
if anything.
dancing around her. Oh, Lord. And Twisted Minds with 30 seconds, having to rotate for what, the second time, maybe even the third time this round.
And they're walking into where, Mac?
Yeah, they're walking into Safia's
setup. Good luck.
Will history repeat itself? Or can they get past the final boss again? Safia flashed up, but again, that trapwire just buying so much time. There's 10 seconds to get the site plant, and they'll win it this time. Okay, an opportunity to get it down. And the spike planted for a main. I don't know if they're going to be able to thread it there because the showstopper locks them in. Beautiful connection on the Toka. And the elbow control for HTM unfortunately doesn't go as expected. 1v2 angle. Lexa tucked away behind the screen on site and is just trying to figure out where both these defenders are coming from. KC, buddy system looks good, but it's not good when you line up like that. Lexa with the Red Bull clutch to keep Twisted Minds in this series.
I love the celebratory spin at the end. But you know what? The final boss then became the final boss because they gave the A site back to the opposing Cypher. That's when we knew that the round was over. Because you just had Lexa back in prime position once again. What a way to end out the round. They even healed up the remaining players to give Anasilia more health to fight with, and it was irrelevant. 10 rounds on the board. High impact one as well. Operator's going to be put back into his hands, something we haven't really seen in his defensive half. And while hated the most is going to fall for it, like it hasn't been there. So I can understand why she thought she could just walk into the angle, but that's an error.
Scout destroyed.
Ooh, and they've seen the traps just before the Trailblazer's gone down. So with that information, I feel like Twisted Minds, similarly to before, are thinking, hey, how about we go and dodge Safia again? This time, will they expect GX on the short side of the vent? Smoke at Mail means that they should be walking into GX's crosshair, but they're just going to dry contact through their own smoke, 3 through Mail, and no paranoia even needed. Toka just does it with the Vandal instead. Beautiful headshot, but they still need to get past the ultimate boss once more. Safia tucked away behind the pillar. Timing on the flanks are crazy, and the crunch is coming in from KC. Toka dealing with it, but again, it's just frags going left, right, and center. Space to plant, it's safe for Susette. And Lean is there, but she won't be able to stop that push in from defender spawn. Lean, the paint shells may be enough to try and lock this one in. Tapping again, Guiding Light doesn't quite connect, and Glance holds strong. 12 on the board and 2 opportunities for KC to stay in the playoffs.
It's crazy that we're even at this point. It's crazy that KC, our current champions, are being pressed this hard by a team that just came up from contenders, and it's unfortunate if Twisted Minds are not able to sort of take this one home, because it's one thing to come close versus a champ, it's another thing to beat a champ. But that's where you're seeing these sort of big plays come up. Anasilia having a crazy performance, Glance stepping up to the table, probably the most experienced player in this server by quite a margin. Someone who's been to the top multiple times. And while for Twisted Minds, we've spoken already about the coaching staff, about the impact that someone like Vladkor can have. This might be the most important pause of his career so far.
Well, we'll see what tricks he's got up his sleeve to tell everyone else exactly what they need to be doing. Of course, though, we'll see what KC pull out. They also have their own single timeout remaining to try and find that final round here in regulation. But honestly, I would not care. We joked about it going into this map. If we got to OT, let's do it again and again and again. Every one of these rounds is just so entertaining. It's crazy.
It's been a banger match, and that's the thing. A lot of the time when you come out of the a group stage. I've been through so many EMEA GCs. I'm just looking at when G2 play and when they're going to win the tournament. Like, that has been the case for quite a few years. KC put a dent in that in the last stage. But now we are seeing those teams that, as I said, like going from kickoff, being relegated, back down to contenders, back up to the main stage for this, playing through the groups, having competitive matches all the way through, losing in a close OT game earlier to KC, only just made it through the groups themselves. Yeah. And now giving them a run for their money, but only one team makes it into that top 4. And unfortunately, the other is out.
I've got your trail.
A lot of weight on the situation. And KC playing full retake on A. I love to see it. You've got 4 ults online, which could be huge. Make that one less. GX now out of the equation.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Okay, they've done it again. They realize it's that low buy, like you said. Outlaw going to be able to have some extra impact. And HTM investing the fault line, and the Rolling Thunder is there at the ready. If she drops it on this line, she's going to hit almost every single one of those KC individuals. And with that guiding light, she goes for it. Lexa looking to push forward, but it's just time that they need to buy to lock in 11 on the board. Alkia just waiting for the moment to go in from heaven. 2 satchels to make it happen, but she goes with the swing instead, and there's lots of eyes on her position, but they're everywhere. They're swarming. KC starting to come back in. Player disadvantage and not much control, but HTM again just going to be going for the mouse shake. It ain't working this time, but the rest of the troops are there for Twisted Minds to keep the dream alive.
And that's the thing. That was the best opportunity for KC to close it. They came in with weaponry advantage. Their opponents were running around with a couple of rifles, and the rest were just missing pieces. They even managed to get a pick off just the kill trip that was put down. Again, solid work from the Cyphers, but it is that hold within the site, the back-to-basics crossfires, the single ultimate that pretty much disrupted the entire retake. They'd thrown the paint shells in to try and play off it, but that Rolling Thunder denied everything. And now you look at the buy, it is maybe the stinkiest buy we've seen from KC in this whole half.
The stinkiest? Well, let's see what this smells like here at mid. And if it's going to be aggression or if it's going to be danger looming in that smoke, but Twisted Minds up against all of this utility, I don't think they want any of that smoke, so they'll just slow things down and let KC continue to waste all of this utility. Waste that clock down.
Obviously, because it's KC, the smell is of a blue cheese.
Of course.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
Aggressive position. GX, even after a much quieter map, is the player with the solo Vandal, the one rifle, or the one primary rifle that could change the tide. Needs to hit the shot, and the showstopper gets absolutely nothing. That's the perfect start to this round, but the full force of KC has already rotated in. A Bucky up front is definitely not the weapon of choice. The TP through, maybe a bit of a mistake. This is already looking competitive. The spam shot's doing damage. The other rifle still in hand, but it's Lexa who's now retrieved one of her own, and the SMGs will close it. It shouldn't have been the round that KC won, but it will be the one that takes them through.
Incredible. KC back themselves, go for the full rotation, and just throw enough utility to delay and stack the B site in time. At this range, when Anasilia went down, I thought that Twisted Minds were going to be able to do it, but Glance and Sapphire again